Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively common fighting psychic-type Pokemon Meditite and its uncommon evolution Medicham, the two collectively known as the Meditate Pokémon. Though their odd humanoid appearances might not look all that scary, the members of the Meditite family are unique creatures that can prove to be much more of a physical powerhouse than one might expect them to otherwise be.
Meditite have bright blue skin on their torso, arms, three-fingered hands, and legs, with gray two-part feet and gray flesh around their wrists. They have large black eyes with red cheek markings, a humanoid mouth, curled ears, and a tapered head with a point at the top and a line running down the center of their forehead, marking the cap-like growth on their head, further being differentiated by gender in that their ears are high on the sides of the head with males, while they are lower down on females. Their evolved form, Medicham, have gray skin across their face, torso, arms, hands, and digitalist feet, retaining black eyes with a large-lipped pink mouth. Their thighs are now also thick, with large bulbs of pink muscle tissue on them, with gilded yellow rings near the hips and a gilded yellow spot at their knees, while their head has a pink crest with 3 gilded yellow spots, pink floppy ears, and a large top knot of flesh at the top that is larger in males than in females. It is lastly noted that these creatures have access to a Mega Evolved form, and in this state, their thighs gain several additional rings at the hip, with 3 pairs of blue jewel-like growths adorning each leg, gilded yellow bands developing at their wrists. Their head crest now has the appearance of a white turban-like wrapping with a gilded yellow center spot, while 2 pairs of fringed arms of mental energy manifest from the back of them to aid in combat. As a result of their abnormal training methods, both Meditite and Medicham possess an incredible ability that is completely unique to them, the Pure Power ability. Upon heightening their mental functions to the point of activating their psychic powers, these creatures choose to allow the psychokinetic energy to flow throughout them instead of utilizing it externally, although they are capable of using a weak version of the Confusion and Psybeam attacks when in a pinch. This has the effect of injecting tremendous amounts of energy into their muscular tissues, enabling them to operate more effectively than they are normally capable of. In other words, the Pure Power ability doubles their attack stat. This often comes as a surprising shock to most opponents, as Medicham otherwise possess below-average stats and appear weak in comparison to other fighting-type Pokemon. When applied correctly though, this ability can easily turn Meditite and Medicham into devastating weapons capable of smashing through even the strongest of defenses. However, this ability does come with a drawback. If the ability is transferred to another Pokemon through a skill swap technique, the opposition will retain the ability's full effects. This is in sharp contrast to the huge power ability normally possessed by Pokemon like the members of the Azuro family, which has its effect halved upon transfer to another Pokemon.
As such, pure power can be both a tremendous detriment and a tremendous benefit in the right situations, so trainers should be careful about which Pokemon they choose to battle with and against when a Meditite or Medicham is involved. Though it is noted that different strategies will be required if their psychic powers are strong enough to give them access to telepathy as a hidden ability instead.
Putting that aside, however, and looking at the stats of Medicham, it becomes quite clear that they need pure power to really stand a chance against stronger foes, as all of their base stats are below average for fully evolved fighting and psychic-type Pokemon, forcing trainers to make do with only physical attacks to do much when using these creatures. Meditite are unique among fighting-type Pokemon in that they constantly use yoga as a way of heightening both their physical and special abilities in battle, and thus as a way of overcoming their otherwise weak natural strengths. By isolating themselves within mountains, Meditite can meditate in peace without any thought of survival, concentrating instead and honing their minds to increase their spiritual powers. As part of their training, Meditite rely on only a single berry per day for nutrition, forcing their bodies and spirits to become tempered against physical pain and hunger. Occasionally, Meditite even may achieve a level of spiritual balance so high that they actually levitate off the ground. This levitation is the result of Meditite activating psychokinetic powers within their own brains, which most fighting types are unable to normally access, and is strong enough for them to be considered partial psychic types, even if weak Confusion and Psybeam attacks are all they can get access to naturally. Unfortunately, Meditite are also still rather young and are a bit impatient with their training, always striving to do better every day. This uncontrolled passion for improvement causes Meditite to lose their mental concentration easily. As such, Meditite can never stop training if they hope to overcome their own personal defects, and often avoid doing much of anything, including battling, until they can obtain perfect mental balance. Once this occurs, however, Meditite will instantly evolve into Medicham.
After training for extensive periods of time and finally gaining the ability to overcome their own personal flaws, Meditite obtained the full power and extrasensory abilities upon evolving into Medicham.
At this point, the intensity of these creatures' yoga training only increases, combining both patience and concentration with almost complete starvation in order to temper the spirit as much as possible. In some cases, Medicham have even been known to meditate for an entire month without eating anything. Because their training has forced them to focus more on the spiritual aspects of existence than the physical aspects, Medicham possess an exceptionally heightened sixth sense and can feel the psychokinetic energies resonating from all beings, thus allowing them to predict their opponent's next move just by reading their brainwaves. In addition, Medicham can physically see the auras that encompass all things and can use them to find enemies and items that are otherwise hidden from plain sight. Aside from the spiritual aspects that the training provides, as well as the capacity to effectively learn and utilize Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, and Zen Headbutt attacks with a bit of artificial help, Medicham grow increasingly graceful in their movements as they learn to incorporate yoga techniques into their combat style. This has the effect of granting Medicham movement patterns that seem to flow continuously without end, mixing attacks and defensive techniques together in a single strand of unbroken motion.
It is lastly noted that Medicham is one of only 46 species of Pokemon known to be capable of undergoing the process of Mega Evolution.
With Medichamite in hand, Mega Evolution does not physically change these creatures much, but instead enables them to turn their strong, unflinching internal spirit into a physical form, wrapping it around their body like clothing and creating additional arms from pure willpower and mental energy. The more that a Medicham has honed its internal spirit, the more realistic these spiritual hands become, and in turn, the more powerful their attacks become. In this state, Medicham are able to find absolute harmony in the universe without having to change a single thing about themselves, locking in their normal pure power ability and amplifying the natural powers to the point of heavily increasing the offensive and defensive attributes as well as the overall agility. In terms of stats, this physical representation of spirit slightly increases Mega Medicham's base defense and special defense stats, considerably increases their base special attack and speed stats, and critically increases their base attack stat. The fact that not much else changes about these beasts can make their transformation seem a bit weak, but with their pure power ability in tow, there is very little that these powerful monsters can't defeat if they put their mind to it.
I can't help but admire the dedication these Pokemon show towards their craft and activities, as it's not exactly easy to hone oneself to the point where food and drink become almost unnecessary. I mean, well, I kind of lean on the opposite end of that spectrum, so to see them do it as they do is quite impressive. That being said, on paper, it is true that there doesn't seem to be much use for these creatures with their weak stats, but their pure power ability can be a nightmare to deal with and certainly not something to be scoffed at. There are quite a few different types of Pokemon out there that could easily get the drop on them before they have a chance to strike, but if they get that chance at all, it can usually only mean bad things for anyone that manages to be in the line of fire. The fact that their Mega Evolution doesn't change much isn't a big deal either, as the process just makes them even better at what they do best. After all, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? It can take some time for these beasts to really hone their minds and concentration and achieve their full power, but it can be a wait more than worthwhile for those that know how to help these fighters bring out their greatest power to demolish the opposition.
Packing more than a bit of a surprising punch and capable of making themselves a tremendous threat to behold, the members of the Meditite family can really show that stats alone do not make a warrior strong. They might have the notable flaws when it comes to getting in that first punch, but with the right training, these otherwise unassuming fighters can easily be made into forces of absolute destruction in a fight.
Just do yourself a favor though, and try not to follow the lifestyle too much if you're not fully dedicated to it. They might eventually have little trouble going without food or water, but try the same thing without a matching spiritual aura, and it may only be a training course that will end in you passing into the world beyond this one.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.